Venus is now in Cancer, and this weekend, Venus is square to Saturn and Neptune, which are conjunct and retrograde in the first degree of Aries, at the first degree of Aries. This is a new configuration, and I'm excited to talk with you about it today. Let's sort of break it down and take it a piece and a step at a time. I'm going to start by just talking about the Saturn-Neptune conjunction here. So it's not exact right now, but as you can see, I mean, it is. Saturn and Neptune are 1000% together right now at this early degree of Aries. By the way, my hope is that if you are learning astrology, that these charts are helpful. And if, that following along with these charts is helpful. And if you just want to listen to the astrology, my hope is that this works for you as well. It's always my intention, for this to work for everyone. So just sort of tune into that piece if you like, and don't if you don't. So yes, let's start here by just talking about Saturn and Neptune retrograde and basically conjunct at 1 degree of Aries, because this is a powerful aspect that's quite relevant right now. It's really major, and it's definitely activated this weekend by Venus. So first, let's sort of set up what's going on here. So at the very first degree of Aries, we're beginning a new cycle, right? When planets move from Pisces to Aries, it's not like moving from one part of the chart to another. It's a real threshold moment into a new cycle. But we're very much just at the early rumblings here, because Saturn and Neptune both do need to travel back to Pisces again. And then they'll come forward into Aries for good. And we've really just been working with the very first couple degrees here. So really, we're also thinking about ending an old cycle while we're also sort of getting the early rumblings of the next. And so this is a time when the old is ending, but not fully just yet. And there's sort of a bit, and the new thing hasn't started up just yet, but it sort of has. So there's sort of a bit of a back and forth between the two, and it's that liminal phase. It's that phase where things are developing, things are just starting to take root. And that can feel so many different ways. It can feel uncomfortable. It can feel exciting. So retrograde adds another sort of layer to this. Thinking about the retrograde suggests that this weekend, and right now in general, but this aspect is really activated this weekend, we are sort of quietly tuning into what really feels possible in terms of this new cycle, this new thing that we're beginning, that feels really important to us, really exciting, really unknown, really new, right? We're sort of quietly tuning into what we think is possible. We're sort of preparing internally with this retrograde part of the cycle. And tuning into what you feel is possible is also about just dreaming those dreams. What are the dreams for this new cycle? You can sort of reset the bar here for what you're going after. It's an opportunity this weekend to, and in general, while these planets are retrograde at this early stage of Aries, to sort of reset that bar of what you even dream to dream, what you even dare to dream about this new cycle and what's next. What are you building right now? What new things? Now you might be thinking about what you want to do differently, how you want to do it differently this time, how you want to do it differently than maybe you've done anything before. with this retrograde. So we're building the new with everything being in Aries, and then as things sort of turn inward with the retrograde for processing, we're thinking it over, and we're thinking about how we want to do it differently, what we think is possible. And with Saturn here, it's always good to mention as well that there can be realizations about accountability, yours and others, responsibility, accountability. These could be surfacing into your conscious awareness now too. And this is part of building with integrity, is taking that responsibility for yourself for what you need to do differently, where mistakes or certain ways of being or thinking have held you back in the past. Also about other people being accountable, not about necessarily speaking with them about it, but you understanding in your head where those limits are. Having this weekend, you might, and as these planets are retrograde in general, some of that could be surfacing into your awareness as well. And we want to be building this new thing, which with as big a dreams as possible and with as much integrity as possible. So retrogrades are really important. They do sometimes get a bad rap, and it's a natural part of life and forward movement to pause and go back and then go forward again, to think things over. And that's really all it is. It's a turning inward of the energy. So now let's add this Venus square to the mix, because this is sort of where it's really about this weekend in particular. So Venus has now moved into Cancer, and when planets are moving into new signs these days, they're doing all kinds of interesting things with the other planets in the sky. We have this outer planet triangle that's with us all summer. And as the inner planets and the sun and the moon connect with that outer planet triangle, that's sort of bringing this new era into our lives in a different way. So basically that's what's happening here. As Venus moves into Cancer, or not basically, that's what's happening here. There's a lot I want to say about it. As Venus moves into Cancer, she comes into that square with this really powerful Saturn Neptune retrograde at 1 degree of Aries, right? Any one of those things by itself would really be something. Just to have Saturn at 1 degree of Aries, not retrograde, not with Neptune, would be a powerful thing. It all happening at the same time like that really carries a message. Okay. So Venus squaring all of this, it sort of adds an emotional texture to that configuration that we were just talking about, to this little line up here and all those things I was just saying. Venus sort of is adding this emotional layer. And this could feel sometimes intense or a little uncomfortable. Just like I was saying, this aspect can sometimes feel that way or not. It might not. It might feel really pleasant or easy. But either way, this is meant to show us something. Our emotions are meant to show us something new about this new thing that we're building. So it's that's why I called this video New Feelings, New Messages. The feelings themselves might feel really different. You might be feeling, I almost called it something about feeling things we'd never felt before, because this feeling could feel really different. This is new. Often when you watch astrology videos, you'll hear astrologers say, think back to 12 years ago at this time, or 7 years ago at this time, or 6 months, and give these different dates and talk about the cycles. And you're not going to be hearing a whole lot of that right now, because this hasn't happened before. All of this is brand new. So a year from now, we'll start talking like that again. But for right now, we're doing these brand new things with these energies. So the feelings that come up this weekend could be ones you haven't felt before, and or the feelings are meant to show you something about this new thing. So it could be a few different things. I'll get into a few other things about it here. Sorry, sometimes I do get excited when I'm just first laying out the aspects, and um, it's sometimes difficult to explain uh, many different thoughts one at a time when I really want to say them all at once. Okay, so one way this could manifest is that, there could be something of a clash of emotions as we move into the new. Old emotions coming up. A configuration like this, slowing down, could set off, some old emotional patterns that we do not feel are helpful or relevant anymore. But you might be able to see those patterns now and feel like you're ready to do it differently. So, some sort of old emotional way of being could sort of surface, but now you can make that choice to do it differently. This could also be an indication of sort of our emotional desires sort of hitting a limit of some kind. It can be hard to sort of love and connect enough for Cancer. um, and Saturn and Neptune may be sort of drawing the line here. So it could feel like limits or disappointments, maybe could be coming up over the weekend. Like sort of that feeling like a desire or something that you want is like just slightly out of reach. Just this tension between the new and the old. Cancer really craves the familiar and the comfortable, and Aries pushes courageously and often blindly into the new. So these are very different energies. And you could feel torn between uh, being comfortable and growing, or between sort of protecting yourself and expanding, between the past and the future. I also think with a configuration like this, although I feel like I've sort of gotten at this as we've been going, it's always helpful to have a heads up that emotions can be a little quick in yourself and in others this weekend. Aries can be fiery and Cancer can be defensive. So when we put this together, people can be sort of quick or surprising with their emotions. So it's always just good to have a heads up about that within yourself, and that you could see it in others as well. And that helps you to hopefully, prepare and not be surprised when it comes up, which helps to take it in stride. Because I really think staying present with emotions without letting them take over is really the way that we get the message this weekend. We get this new message. We're maturing. This is an opportunity to sort of mature and do it differently, which is what we want to do. We want to build this new thing differently than we did before, or maybe than we've done anything before. And so as emotions come up this weekend, it's about listening to them, not freaking out and moving in the wrong direction, but just sort of quietly tuning in. Sensitivity, but also inspired creativity could be a piece here. I feel like creativity could just be way up this weekend, because sensitivity and newness and emotions like this kind of do that. So find positive outlets for that creative impulse if you feel it this weekend. In general, it is good with this kind of energy to sort of diffuse it a little bit. Time in nature would be helpful, meditation, exercise, whatever works for you. I also feel like water is always great with all this Cancer for maximizing the positive benefits of all this Cancer, whether it's swimming, walking near water, drinking plenty of water, even taking a shower, crying. These are all water things. But more than anything, I think that being creative in some way could really be helpful this weekend, because it can sort of ignite that emotional understanding about what's changing that this weekend is really all about. And so processing emotions on a walk, in the shower, through journaling, being aware of our emotions without letting them take us over would be a great way to maximize and enjoy the potential of this weekend. So I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. If you enjoyed this video, I will attach some other videos that you might like here, and also check out the horoscopes on my channel. The July horoscopes contain the information about this outer planet triangle that's relevant all summer, and also the Mercury retrograde that we're in right now. So even though it's August, there's a lot in that July horoscope that's still relevant too. And just thank you so much for being here. Have a wonderful weekend.